Okie dokie. I was asked to do my own all-star teams, and I did what I said I would. I didn't automatically include players just because of what team they play for. And I didn't care whether they're centers, left wingers, right wingers. So Giroux could play whatever position he wants. And honestly, I didn't leave that many teams out, and I tried to go with guys who statistically are having great years because the All-Star game is all about goals and creativity and fun. And I definitely didn't cheat towards teams that I cheer for. For instance, Marchand didn't make the team in my eyes. Up front in the East, so what I did was I did East-West. I got rid of the divisions thing and I did East-West, the old-fashioned style. 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 3 goalies. There was 3 goalies, 1 for each period of hockey. Kucherov, Point, Marner, Ovechkin, Crosby, Aho, Pasternak, Tavares, Panarin, Giroux, Eichel, and Larkin are your group up front. And it is an impressive group up front. And the nice thing too is that you've got 2 Maple Leafs that you can have work together. You got two Tampa Bay Lightning working together. I understand I don't have Austin Matthews in the All-Star game because I don't have Austin Matthews in the All-Star game. And you could argue Austin Matthews over Larkin for sure. I don't know that you could argue Austin Matthews ahead of anybody else that I have on the board. And Marner gets in and Tavares is there with them, so we know they work well together. That could be kind of fun. I understand that I don't have any Islanders in here who are forwards. I don't have Barzal, and I'm okay with that, honestly. I did try to include as many teams as possible while acknowledging I can't include all of them. On defense, Riley, Carlson, Letang, Shabbat, Yandel, and Petrie. I have Jeff Petrie there as the representative for the Montreal Canadiens because he's had a pretty solid year on defense. He's having a career year offensively, and he's played pretty well. I don't have Carey Price because I went with Vasilevsky, I went with Anderson, and I went with Robin Leonard. So for the Leafs, they've got 4 guys on my all-star team from Anderson, Riley, Marner, Tavares. Tampa has 3. Kucherov, Point, Vasilevsky. I did not include Stamkos. I did not include Hedman, which is troubling a bit to me, but that's okay. Yandel's had a pretty amazing year. Shabbat really has had a breakthrough year. He's been fantastic for the Sens. Didn't include Stone. There are a lot of guys who get left out no matter how you do this, and there are going to be people who don't agree. 2 teams don't show up on the board in the East. New Jersey, where Palmieri's going. And the Rangers, where Lundqvist is going, and for me, neither team. The closest you get is Palmieri for me with the Devils, who is going in the real All-Star game. Of course, Taylor Hall, if he was playing, would be in it. And for the Rangers, Kreider is probably the one that I would have in there. Out west, forwards, Rantanen, Goudreau, McDavid, Patrick Kane, McKinnon, Wheeler, Draisaitl, Monahan, Scheifele, Lindholm, Landeskog, and I included Elias Peterson because he has 45 points in 40 games, belongs in the All-Star game. I had O'Reilly up there, which of course would be the St. Louis representative, but I couldn't in my mind argue that O'Reilly belonged there ahead of Peterson. And I'm starting to say Peterson again because he's got a new commercial on TV where it's him, and he says, "I'm Elias Peterson of the Vancouver Canucks." I'm like, oh, he's on this commercial, and he's going to be on all the Canuck broadcasts. I can't keep calling him Pedersen. So Elias Peterson it is. He wins. So I have him in there. Of course, the entire first line of Colorado, the first line for the Flames. Now, I don't have Tkachuk. I debated about Matthew Tkachuk. You could argue Matthew Tkachuk into the lineup. You could also argue that you could expand the rosters a bit. You could argue you can go with 14 forwards and 7 defensemen. And I thought about that. I thought, no, that's going to be a cop-out. You can't do that. You have to post with a similar number of All-Stars as the NHL has currently. On defense, I went with Burns, Giordano, Erik Karlsson's there. Yossi, Suter, and Doughty, and I was really torn between Yossi and Ekholm. Yossi's having a monster year at both ends of the ice. Ekholm kind of sort of is too, and if you look at the plus minus, if you look at their advanced numbers, it is hard to argue that Ekholm is not right now a more important defenseman to the Nashville Predators, but I went with Yossi. Doughty was a tough one for me. I was on the fence, and I thought, you know what, Doughty's still playing 26 and a half minutes per game on a pretty bad LA Kings team, and his numbers aren't awful, and he's he's in a bad situation, and I can't argue that if Doughty was on the Sharks, his numbers wouldn't be a whole lot better. They would be. In net, I went with Fleury, Gibson, and Rene. So that gets you your Vegas Golden Knight, your Anaheim Duck gets in there as well. So Arizona, Dallas, and St. Louis are left without All-Stars. Of course, Heiskanen's going for Dallas. I don't have any Dallas Stars in the All-Star game. I thought about Sagan, but I couldn't argue Sagan over any of the top 12 forwards I have there. You definitely can't argue Jimmy Benn over any of the 12 forwards I have there. And Heiskanen, I can't argue ahead of Suter, Yossi, Carlson, Giordano, Burns, or Doughty. There's no way. And statistically, I could have had Ben Bishop in there, but not ahead of Fleury, Gibson, or Rene. So yeah, those are my All-Star teams. And so you see you've got 3 Colorado Avalanche going. I didn't put Barrie in there. You could definitely argue Tyson Barrie. For San Jose, you've got any number of forwards up front, whether it's Pavelski, whether it's, to some extent recently Evander Kane. But yeah, I went with just the 2 defensemen for the Sharks. And Calgary has 4 players going with mine: Giordano, Goudreau, Monahan, Lindholm. So it's a different group, and I know there's going to be people who don't agree with it. My not putting Carey Price in the East All-Star team. I can't see it. I understand why they announced the All-Stars as early as they do, but I don't know that I would have the All-Stars announced so early personally. And I only say that because since they announced the All-Stars, there's actually an example of how it's worked okay, is that at the time they announced it, Carey Price's numbers weren't very good, and now they're pretty solid. But, you look at Lundqvist, I don't know I can't make any argument for Henrik Lundqvist being in there unless you do at the All-Star game what they used to do. They only did it for a couple years, where you'd vote in a veteran. So Mark Messier went the one time for the Canucks. You have a veteran guy out there again. You can play around with this. And you can come up with a whole different formats. East versus West is the one I remember best. Prince of Wales Conference versus Campbell Conference, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so those are my All-Stars. Let me know your picks in the comment section below. This is obviously just for fun. It's not a binding or legally argumentative piece at all. It's just, this is the THG All-Stars for 2019. So let me know your picks in the comment section below as always. And hey, this is, again, just a fun thing. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Just happened upon this fun thing on the internet. I'll talk to you again soon.